Number One Tactical. Today's video is going to be a versus video between the CZ P10C ported and the Smith & Wesson metal carry comp. This video is actually an idea that our viewers had. We had multiple comments wanting to see these two guns compared, and it's honestly a really good comparison. Two very comparable guns. So we're going to go over the specifics of the gun, what they did better or worse against each other, and overall which one we would choose. So let's get into it. All right, so as you guys know, we typically like to start out with price point, right? Yep. We like to give our viewers right up front exactly how much they're going to have into one of these firearms. So for the metal carry comp, you're looking at around $799. I'm sure with deals from different companies and things like that, you may be able to see it cheaper. You may also see it a little more expensive, just depending on the gun store that you choose to go to. But I've seen them the most around that $799, so like $800 price range. Yeah. Joshua, if you want to tell us the CZ P10C ported.
You'll see these very commonly around $549, but we have seen them as low as $499 from PSA on their website. So we're just going to go ahead and say around that $500 mark for these.
So a pretty big difference. I mean, when you're looking at getting into a gun, there's a huge difference in price, and that's one of the big deals for us when it comes down to performance and price. You know, we want to know, are you getting the performance out of this gun to justify paying another $300 for the Smith? So real quick, we're going to run through what is different about these guns. So we're going to go over all the different things about the guns, but obviously they are, I know we kind of typically start out with sights and slide and everything, but the main difference between the two guns is that you're going to have an alloy or mostly alloy frame on the Smith, and on the CZ you're going to have a polymer frame similar to a Glock 19. So it is interesting how Smith did this, and it's very cool how quickly you can take everything down. But if you look, there's really not much that is actually metal. You have your rail, all of the lower is an aluminum frame, and then you do have this polymer insert. So it is a little different how, they put everything together. It's kind of a strange construction in my opinion. Almost seems pieced together, but it actually makes for a pretty
It works.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good system that they have, and it keeps the gun lightweight while still having that metal frame. So just wanted to point that out. We know they're both not polymer guns, so you don't have, that's not the first thing you have to tell us is, well, they're not comparable because they're not polymer. We understand.
Y'all asked for this.
We understand this is alloy and this is polymer. But Joshua, if you want to kick it off with the sights and everything on the CZ, and
so if you've watched some of our videos on the P10s or some other CZ products that are more in line with carry pistols from CZ, you'll notice we don't necessarily think that their sight setup is perfect. We'll put it that way. It's okay. It's not bad. For daytime shooting, we think it's plenty fine. I mean, you can shoot accurately. You can shoot quite fast with the iron sights, but with their what we'll call glow-in-the-dark sights, they're not very practical because they charge off of the sun or light, and when you're actually carrying the gun, the rear sights get a little bit of light. The front sight doesn't really get any. So when you actually go to point it out in a low light setting, you're only seeing your rear sight, if that at all. You know what I mean? That's assuming that the rear even gets some light as well. So there's a little bit to be desired there.
Yeah, that's almost the opposite of what you'd want to happen. If anything, you'd want to be able to see your front, even if you couldn't see your rear.
So in theory, hey, it's great. They gave us some night sight, something to see at night. but in practical use, it doesn't really help you out.
Right. Now, when we talk about price point, we talk about getting what you're paying for. Smith absolutely delivered on the sight setup that they have. This is exactly what I would have expected and hoped for from a gun in this price range. They give you nice metal sights. They do have the grooves in the back just like CZ did, but the one main difference that they have, and the reason these sights are better, is they have tritium filled front with a very bright, I'll say, very bright, like yellow chartreuse, whatever color you want to call that.
That's green.
Yeah, almost green. Ring around the front. So if I'm going to go and I'm going to get a gun that I can carry, but I also want to take it out and shoot, as a plinker or whatever you want to do, this is the exact sight setup that I would want. Very bright front sight, so during the day you can see it very easily, and then also you have that tritium in the front so that when you need it, if you're in a low light situation, you can see that front sight. So a perfect sight setup, if there is one, this is very close to that. So really good job on the Smith. And again, I can get over the CZ a little bit more because of the price point. You're at $500 on this one. So do we wish we saw better sights on the CZ? Absolutely. I do think this is something they need to look into more and put some tritium in there. But Smith did a really good job on the sights. I like to see that.
Yeah.
Now, what about the slide? Because they're both very nice.
Yeah. So the slide, this is on the CZ P10 ported. So they do have upgraded slide serrations from the original CZ P10 series, the S, the C, the F. It's really deep, and I like it. It's real aggressive, and they also have some serrations on top. I think it's very practical. It's very easy to use. This slide is really easy to pull back, in comparison to some other firearms as well. And then, of course, our optic cut. Now, the thing about CZ, the P10 ported, is you cannot, well, there is a certain model optic that you can direct mount.
Through Holosun.
Right. Yep. But for people like me, I'm pretty much, my go-to is always an RMR.
Yeah.
So they do not include a optics plate in the box. So you're going to have to go and spend around $50 to go get the optic plate that you want. Because I don't know if you happen to know off the top of your head what optic directly mounts to this.
I think it's actually named like Holosun P10 something. I think it actually has P10 in the name.
Yeah, so I know this isn't everybody's problem, but sometimes we'll just have, random RMR style red dots available that we've taken off of other guns that we've maybe sold or traded or whatever, but we want to keep that red dot. And so I almost always have one available to put on this. So I'm going to want that RMR plate.
Yeah, it would be nice for them to at least send you one.
Yeah.
And I mean, most people, not everybody, but most people are running an RMR footprint optic. So it'd be nice for them to at least include that in there.
Yeah.
Instead of like Joshua wanted to put a more of like a 407K size optic on there.
Yeah.
And it's taken a long time for that optic plate to get here. Yeah. So he's without an optic because he can't get the plate. It was back ordered, whatever it is.
And by no means do you need an optic. We know that. I mean, you can still shoot the iron sights perfectly fine. But just something to note there, if you're wanting to run the optic that you like, you might have to spend an additional $50.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, now on the Smith, you do get optic plates. The only thing that's weird to me is that they're plastic. So it's a little weird,
that is weird,
having a plastic piece it's really just, the adapter. It's not really holding anything. It's still, the screws are still going through that plastic plate into the firearm slide itself. But it is a strange system having just a plastic plate that's holding your optic on.
So what all fits on that? Is it just RMR?
No, there's multiple different ones. They come with multiple plates.
Okay.
So I mean, it's nice that you do have that option to do different. One right out of the box, you can go put an optic on here, which we like to be able to do, and that it comes with it, so you have options. It's still not as good as a system like the Springfield Echelon, where you can slap pretty much any optic on that, or even like Shadow Systems, where they give those little spacers or whatever you want to call it. This is a decent setup. It's just they could probably improve it a little bit.
One thing I will note is that optic sits on the Smith & Wesson a lot higher than, because we have other P10s that are optic cut just like this.
Yes.
And the optics, you're able to co-witness a lot easier with the CZ when you actually have an optic on there.
Yeah, all you're looking
at
like
that one kind of sits on top, but this is actually cut down into it.
This is definitely above your iron sight, so you're not going to be able to see your irons.
So once you throw an optic on these P10s, I prefer the sight picture and all that with the CZ.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then going on to the slide itself, now you're going to notice they did a lot more work on the Smith & Wesson slide.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have your comp or port, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
You have some vent cuts on the side. You have a window cut on top. And then your serrations are really good looking. The design of this slide is excellent. I think it's one of the best looking guns out there. It's just mean looking. It gives me vibes of like a Pit Viper, that Pit Viper 2011.
A little bit, yeah.
So I really like the look of it. The only thing, the serrations are not super deep. Now, have I ever had an issue with my hand sliding off the serrations? No. But I do believe that the serrations on the CZ are a little deeper and they have a little more bite to them. So you never, when you don't have to really grip the slide much at all to be able to get a hold on it and rack that slide, where this one you do need to squeeze a little bit more.
Yeah.
But then on the rear, they did good on the rear serrations, and I like that they put, similar to like the Echelon, they put those little wings on the side so that if you did slip, it will still grab on the rear. So they did a really good job on this slide. And again, you're paying more, so it's nice to see that you're at least getting some customization that you normally wouldn't get on a cheaper gun.
Yeah, and while we're talking about the slide, if you kind of want to hold up, and I'm sure you'll have close-ups as well, the hole on the slides, yeah, just the slide, they're similar. I'd say the CZ is still a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
That's the actual port on there. But when you actually pull back and you only see the barrel, this is so much bigger of a hole than in that Smith & Wesson.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that they didn't make that bigger.
Yeah, it's sort of like on that design, they kind of, had it funneled in where this is just a straight up hole.
Yep. And
so you're
huge.
getting more gas coming from this port.
Yep. Yeah, that is
Just thought
worth
it would be
mentioning.
noted.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at it with the slide down, they look like they're going to be about the same. But when you actually look at the barrel size hole, you're like, okay, it's a lot smaller than what the CZ has.
And to your point, we've actually had that on multiple guns we've reviewed where the CZ is the exact size the hole that they have in the slide in the barrel, and other guns that we've looked at, the holes for the port itself on the barrel are much smaller than the window that
it's
you
like
see.
They're compensating for something.
So moving on to the frames, which again is what sets these guns a little bit more apart.
Yeah.
I actually really like what Smith did with this frame because I love a metal framed gun. I really do. I like the feel of it. I just like, for some reason, having metal. So I do like that they have that metal finish, but these little back straps that they have and the little front insert there, they are so aggressive.
Yeah.
And Smith has always done a good job giving you a lot of good texture on the gun, and they definitely didn't disappoint on this. There is texture everywhere you want texture.
Right.
I don't have any issues with the texturing on this gun. It's nice and smooth where you really don't need any texture, and it's nice and rough where you do. So they did a really good job. The only complaint that I originally had on this gun is this front insert, similar to the, what was that real small metal?
CSX.
The CSX. The front spacer got to the point where it was wiggling in there, and every time you'd pick up the gun, you could hear it up, just moving a little bit up and down. And we actually had one of our viewers comment and say, hey, all you have to do is pop that out, put a piece of paper in there and close it down and snap it back in, and it gets rid of that. And it did. So I would have wanted an $800 gun not to have any weird rattles like that, but it was easily fixed. But I really do like what they did with their texturing. It is fantastic on this gun.
Yeah.
What about the CZ?
The CZ, it does have interchangeable back straps, nothing in the front. It's just really textured. They're kind of known for that. It's very aggressive. When you kind of squeeze on it and you're done shooting, you'll be able to see that in the texture on your hand. But I really like it, and what I really like about it is the shape and how high you can get up on there. I will say to the Smith & Wesson's, point is it fills the inside of your hand width-wise better. This one's a little bit more narrow. Not a problem. I'm just saying that they're going about it in different ways, but it just fills the hand a little bit more, whereas this one is like the shape of how you get into the gun is a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, it's just a little bit different.
Yeah.
It depends on if you like to have a wider, thicker grip, or if you like it to be a little bit more narrow, but be able to drive down into it a little bit more.
Now, for the left-handed shooters that watch these videos, both guns are technically ambi. They both have the slide stop, slide release on both sides, and then they have the interchangeable mag release if you want to switch that over. So you can put this gun the exact way you'd want it if you're a left-hand shooter.
Yep.
So that is worth mentioning. And then moving on to a really hard decision maker is the triggers. because Smith really did a good job on their trigger on this gun. Other Smiths that I've dealt with in the past, I wasn't super impressed with the trigger itself, but they actually, for one, did a much better trigger shoe, which you'll notice that on the newer generation Smiths that you see. But they've just got a little bit of take up, not much at all. You come up to a very distinct wall, and then the brake is very crisp, and it's a really good brake. And then they put this little piece of plastic in here that stops the trigger from traveling anymore, so you don't continue traveling and waste, a trigger pull. And then your reset is very quick, very short, and you're right back into the trigger. The only downside to this trigger is the reset itself. It's not very tactile. You don't really hear it, you don't really feel it, and there's not a lot of force pushing your finger out. It's short and it's light, but there's just no, force pushing your finger back out. So there is a little bit more work on the shooter's point when firing the gun. What about CZ?
The CZ, I would say it's a little bit heavier than the Smith & Wesson. But again, it's got the little trigger safety in there. It's got a little bit of take up, and it comes to a very hard, distinct wall.
Yep.
Put a little bit of pressure, it breaks. Very clean, and again, you notice it stays in the back. You can't over travel with this either.
Sure.
Then you'll reset it, and it's nice and short. It's ready to go again.
And you'll notice it's hard for him to slow down the reset because the trigger itself is pushing your finger out.
Right.
There's like this one, you can see my finger creeping and creeping and creeping, and that's because there's no pressure really pushing your finger back out, and that's really what makes a good all-around trigger is a clean break, a very crisp ball, but then also having that reset so that you don't have to do as much work as the shooter on the gun. Now,
and you don't feel it as much. Like this gives you a positive, it's been reset, whereas that one is kind of like a click. You can barely hear it too. I'm sure you guys can hear it, just with the audio this is so much louder and tactile than what that is.
Yeah, everything about this trigger is just, it almost, the word I think is weak. It's wimpy. It doesn't
with
have
the
a
reset.
lot. With the reset, it doesn't push your finger out, and that's what makes the CZ so shootable is the trigger pull. And we've always given the P10C such a good rating because of how great the trigger is. We always say this is, if you're going to give somebody a first-time shooter a gun, and you want to point them in the direction of a 9mm, this is probably the gun to let them train on because the trigger is so good and repeatable. Now, the trigger on the Smith, again, is very good. You can shoot the gun very fast. It's like you said, it's light.
Right.
So it's a great trigger. It's just, if I'm going to choose one or the other as far as wanting a trigger, the P10C is really hard to beat. So if there was something that Smith could do to get some increased pressure, and I understand if you put more into your reset, it's probably going to pull up the weight of your actual trigger pull itself. But I think it's worth it to have a little bit more of pressure on your reset than to have a lighter trigger.
And it's not bad the way it is. We're just saying if they were, like, the CZ's better.
Our job is to nitpick.
Yeah, exactly. Is when we put these in a comparison, it's not to throw off on that trigger. That trigger's still really good, but the CZ does come out on top.
Now, another thing to mention, these guns are they're not huge difference in size. The Smith is overall a bigger gun, but not by much.
Very little.
And the one thing you are getting with the Smith is a 17-round mag, and you get 2 of these, and then the CZ is going to have a standard 15-round mag, and then it comes with a +2 extension.
Well, it actually comes with 2 +2 extensions and 2 15-round mags, so you can put them on those magazines.
So you can get 17 in a CZ P10C ported, but you're going to have...
And it's going to stick out a lot farther than that.
Yeah.
Because these are about the same size, but you're getting 17 with the Smith & Wesson.
Right.
So kind of impressive there.
It is very impressive. Now, coming down to the most important part of it, because these two guns are ported or comped, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
They're the same exact thing, the same cut, but one's a comp and one's a port. So
by name?
Seems like the industry can't figure out what they want to call it. But when you get down to it, you want to look at performance, because these are both comped or ported guns. So, Joshua, I'm going to let you start off by telling me which one was a better performer as far as low recoil.
Without a doubt, CZ P10.
Yep.
Without a doubt. Not to say that the Smith & Wesson was bad by any means, but and we've put the CZ up against other comp/ported guns, a few of them now.
Everyone that we have, yeah.
Yeah, and the CZ just seems to perform super well, and I think it's due to the fact that the size hole that big old hole they have in the slide is the same big old hole they have in that barrel.
Yep.
And so, whereas this, it looks like you got a big old port in the front of this one, but when you actually pull that barrel back, it's itty bitty.
Yeah, it's not doing as much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, like he said, the gun still shoots very flat.
Yeah.
The port obviously does lower the recoil on the Smith & Wesson, metal carry compact. But at the end of the day, when you shoot them back to back, there's a good bit more muzzle rise on this gun than the CZ. And it still surprises me every time, because we try to give some time between the videos so that we can really think about the performance of these guns, because we don't want to just come on here and tell you something if we really don't mean it or we really don't believe it. But it surprises me every time we do a review like this and we come back to the CZ and we shoot it up against another gun, how flat this gun shoots. It's crazy. It is amazing how flat the CZ shoots. So performance-wise, this gun has a lot going for it, but the performance of the comp on this gun, it just doesn't justify the $800 price point, in my opinion.
Right.
If you're buying the gun for the simple fact that it has the port, and we understand, because we've had people mention this, do you need a comp or a port on a 9mm? Absolutely not. You don't need one.
Yeah.
But technology has come to the point where they can make reliable ported or comped 9mm handguns, and I'm going to continue to buy them, because if I can get a gun to shoot flatter and softer and be able to get more accurate, faster shots off, I'm obviously going to go in the direction of getting that gun. So,
But Connor, it makes the gun louder,
yeah.
supposedly.
Everybody asks that question, by the way. We have never noticed
No.
any gun being that much louder, or to the point where we can actually tell while shooting the gun. So
Which we don't shoot indoors. We shoot outdoors.
That may
still,
be part of it.
I mean, to me, that's not a big deal at all.
No, I couldn't care less, to be honest with you.
All guns are super loud.
So at the end of the day, Joshua, what it comes down to, we obviously like both these guns. We've had this one for a while now, and it's been one of our favorites to shoot and everything like that. But there is a big difference in price point. So if you're going to be honest with our viewers, which we should be, which gun would you point them in direction of between these two?
CZ P10, ported, easy. I mean, they make the choice so easy for us. To be honest with you, performs better, cheaper. Wish I had an optic plate.
Yeah.
But I enjoy shooting it better, and I like the trigger better.
Yeah.
So I'm able to be, truthfully, I know people don't like throwing out that word accuracy, because there's a lot of, they're like, well, if you clamp it in a vise, Look, when we talk about accuracy, is how accurate you can be with the firearm while popping off rounds as quick as you can, right? So I can be a little bit more accurate with the CZ, and again, I'm saving money that I can put toward ammo, and ammo is expensive. So if we save around, let's assume that we're buying the plate, that's around $250. So I've got close to 1,000 rounds of ammo right there.
That's right. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the overall shootability of the CZ is just better. Now, are we saying that the Smith is not a good option? Not at all. This gun is a great gun. We've had no issues with it. We've had no issues with either one of these. So if you want that metal frame, if you want the Smith because you like the look of it and you like the optic system, whatever it is, it's still a great option, and you're going to be happy with it.
Yeah.
But this video is about which one's better. In my opinion, the CZ P10C doesn't really leave you wanting anything else. It's got the optic plate, or it's got an optic system. Yes, you have to buy a plate, but it's $50 and the gun's only $500. So it's not a huge deal to have an extra $50 in it. You've got good slice durations. The only thing they could upgrade on that gun is the sights.
Yeah.
That's really the only thing that I look at thinking, I really wish they could have done better. But going back to, it's a $500 gun, it's probably one of the best bang for your buck firearms out there.
For sure.
So I would definitely say the P10C ported is a better gun to go get if you're looking for a gun that's comped. Again, the Smith is a great gun, great option, but it's going to be hard to beat that gun right there. And we're finding that out more and more as we do these comparisons, that this may end up being one of the best comped guns or ported guns out there for the money. And we'll continue to let you guys know as we compare them to different guns, because we are really enjoying this type of series where we're comparing ported pistols. We'll continue to inform you guys if we find anything better. But as of right now, CZ's kind of killing it. So if you guys have any questions about any of the guns, let us know down in the comment section. Make sure you guys subscribe. That is the best way you can, support our channel. Drop a comment if you want us to compare this gun to anything else, or if you'd like to see any future content. And make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.